And now for something completely different.
I know. Hi, everybody. The stream is deleted on Facebook, but that's okay. We are coming live to you just on YouTube because I don't know what's happening.
Weirdness.
And if you guys notice, Blaine, where are we?
We're in the engine room, which is empty.
And Brent is here with us today. From Brent, where are you? Introduce yourself a little bit and where you are from. Where you are right now.
I am currently in La Paz, Mexico.
On your hybrid electric sailboat that you sailed down there.
On Karma, the sailboat version of Tangaroa, yes.
Yes. So you guys, if you want to follow in on him on Facebook, it's Facebook, right? You have Project Karma?
Project Karma on Facebook, yes.
Yes. So Project Karma, check it out. It's a hybrid electric sailboat, and an article about them just came out in Pacific Yachting today, which is very exciting. And Pacific Yachting just reached out to do an article on Tangaroa. But let's talk about today. Blaine, what happened last night, first of all?
So we had someone reach out to us.
No, let's go back to who came to visit.
Well, that's what I was saying. We had RW Netwraith, who you guys will see him in the comments as well. He sent us a message and said, I'd love to come out and help you guys. So we teed up a time. They showed up around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock yesterday.
2 o'clock.
And we, Janice and I were pretty tired at that point. So we said, you guys come on in. Like, we've had enough for the day. We'll just, talk and drink beer.
And visit.
And I think we were like an hour in maybe or something like that. And Morgan, the lovely female side of the couple, she's like, we came here to work. Let's do stuff. So we ended up getting a whole bunch of stuff organized on the container. And then once that was finished, took them for a little quick walk around the yard. And then we had another couple of friends show up here in the yard, and beers were had, and sleep was not.
No.
So woke up this morning, was sitting there enjoying my coffee, and I got a text. It's from Rocky, the crane guy. And he's like, hey, had my job canceled for today, and tomorrow's going to be busy. I'd like to come by today.
Janice was a little bit hungover, only after 3 ciders, but we don't drink that much.
No. So, and we didn't have the hatch on the top of the boat open. There was so much that we're not 100%. Like, this was all stuff that we planned to do throughout today, not to be rushed in the morning to get it all done. But nevertheless, we got it all done. I think Rocky showed up at 11:30, and we were ready to rock and roll.
He was here at 11 o'clock. He was here early, half an hour early.
Yeah. So, we spent 3 hours today pulling out the engines, the washer and dryer, the generators, the batteries,
yes,
transformers.
One thing we did learn today is we should not have used 5200 to put the hatch down last time.
That took some effort to get that up, but we did get it up.
But we do have a blank slate, and I want Brent to talk about this big step, because you were just mentioning before everybody came on about how having a blank slate like this is so important to this hybrid build. Cool.
Say that again, sorry.
So why is it so important to have a blank slate right now, which is what we have? Like, why is this a good thing for this Tangaroa project?
Well, one of the challenges when we go into a refit on a vessel is a lot of the systems are really designed around conventional ice thinking and electrical, mechanical, and plumbing associated with that. And when we come into this, you'll notice, anyone who wants to come to the Karma project page, you'll look at the engine room and see that the machinery space is significantly more simple than what we have typically when it comes to a normal machinery space. So what's going to happen with Tangaroa is Blaine's done a great job of pulling everything out so far. As you can see, there's still a few things left to come. But he's creating that blank slate where we can plan the routing of cables, wires, plumbing, ducting, everything in a way that it's going to leave with a nice clean inside white surface to allow brightness and ease of service and maintenance for the system when it's actually put in. And it makes for a really great opportunity simply to plan where are things ideally going to be located from a service and maintenance point of view. and you can prioritize your service and maintenance in terms of accessibility. Whereas when you start with a vessel that you're kind of adding to, sometimes that's a bit of a challenge because taking apart and replacing is a lot harder than you would imagine. Like, think a job that would take you 1 hour in building a new boat takes 3 to 4 hours in a refit like this.
Yes, very true.
It is. So Blaine,
yes.
See Steve Kucherek, Ice for Life. Take the camera and just show them a little bit around.
Yeah, okay.
Hold on, guys. We'll show you a little bit right now.
So Janice and I are sitting on our engine room exhaust fans that have been
Keeps our
repurposed.
bum nice and warm, the pink insulation.
The chairs. But yeah, we got where the engines were there. Now blank, empty holes. I've got to remove the heater still. Obviously, we've got the inverters back behind me that have to get removed. The water maker system over here. All the panels behind me back there, all the electrical panels. We've also got to get in here and remove all the insulation from the walls and redo that as well. Getting rid of the original chain and shaft steering, which is up here, up top, and down there in the corner. So yeah, like I said, we're literally starting with a blank slate. There's pretty much going to be nothing in here when we get going.
And everything went very smoothly except for one time, and I can't wait to show you that footage because Janice almost got squashed.
Oh, you were.
I was fine. I didn't
Stop
flinch,
being dramatic.
but Rocky the crane guy was like, ah! What happened today, Blaine?
Well, we were taking the muffler down on the port side, and
the big asbestos covered mufflers, if you guys remember them.
Yeah, notice they're gone too. Yeah, we had to get this muffler down from the port side. We had to get it over to the starboard side, and unfortunately, they kind of nestle between the joists up here. So we had to get it to drop down. All we had was ratchet straps and things like that. So I tied up 2 ropes from one side of the boat under the muffler to the ceiling on the other side. And the idea was to lower it down on the ropes and have it come down into the side. Well, we were messing around trying to get the ratchet straps moved. We got one side lowered down. We're working on the other side.
Wait, I was sitting on the opposite side of the engine room with the camera going.
Yes.
Looking at it.
So what happened was we had on the gantry here, we had the front side of the muffler attached to the gantry so we could slide it across on the gantry. Well, what happened is the hook, I don't know exactly what happened, if it popped out or if it broke, and the whole muffler dropped straight down. Now, here's the brilliant part. I put those ropes in there, and it worked like clockwork. It just went a lot faster than what we originally wanted it to.
There's a bit of like, ah!
This muffler came barreling down, literally perfectly, right on top of the ropes, rolled and nestled right between the stringers on the starboard side.
About 7 inches in front of me.
Yep.
I was like, okay,
but it's
here.
It did so at like 20 miles an hour. It was hilarious. But didn't damage anything, didn't hit anything, and like perfect roll down the ropes and stop in the
The crane guy was not too happy, and Blaine, meanwhile, was like, "That's just how we do it."
Yeah.
And Rocky's like, "Oh my gosh, you two."
Yeah. So once we had it there, strapped it up, and out it went. But every day needs a bit of excitement.
Yes. So yes, everything's gone. And the way we're going to run the live today, besides telling you stories occasionally, I want to go over some of the suggestions we got over the YouTube channels or on the YouTube videos. Most of you like the 3 videos a week. One person says he doesn't like it. He's getting bored, but you can't please everybody, man. We try.
Yeah.
I played with that one a couple days ago. I played with it and put some music in it. I'm sorry for those who don't like music. I tried. They don't like the music either. No. So you will not get any more music in the refit videos. I promise you. Okay. With that gone, now we got some great suggestions in YouTube comments, and I'm sorry we haven't answered all the YouTube comments.
As you can see, we've been a little bit crazy busy.
A bit crazy. Now, Liam Greenwood and Donk7506. Wait, I put these in here. Look.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, amazing.
If you guys have questions about everything, please put them down. We're going to go through all the questions and answers after. And Brent is here. If you have any questions about this whole hybrid build, please ask him, or any questions about going hybrid or any questions about doing it to your own boat, throw them down below. Okay, here's your first question.
Can I make one comment there for you, Janice?
Sure.
Okay, so Hunt Julian-I90 said, don't forget about the nerds who want technical calcs. What I suggest that we'll end up doing for everybody is dedicating at least a portion of one of these lives to the rationalization of performance. We've had, the one thing I really appreciate about Janice and Blaine on this whole program is that they're willing to go live with you guys as they go, which is very unique and extraordinarily rare. Maybe both mean the same thing, but the calculations, I've had a lot of people comment privately to me that we can't understand how a trawler or a motor yacht can make financial sense in operations. And people who are commenting on the efficiency of an AC versus DC or AC to conversion to DC side, none of you are wrong. But at the same time, the core of most ICE engineering is about have more capacity than you need and run your fuel inefficiently in order to make sure that you have redundancy in power. When we go to the concepts of hybrid, serial, parallel, both really, the expectation is that we're idealizing efficiency and matching performance of machinery and equipment with the actual outputs. But for those of you who have put up the please provide us with data, I'll let Janice manage this in terms of when, but we'll prepare a whole presentation for you guys on the core engineering of Tangaroa and why it makes sense.
I'm thinking maybe in a couple weeks, we'll just put you, when you're here, Brent, we'll just put you and Blaine on the live and we can advertise it as a tech geek out.
Yep. And then Janice can go sleep.
No, I managed. Leave you two alone with all this?
Oh
boy. How's that sound? He's going to drink. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Go back to my banners. Okay, and first one is Liam and Donk 7506. So you saw that we built the gantry system. Blaine and Brent actually weigh out on this too. Should we put in a permanent gantry system? Great idea.
So this has been something that's bugged me for a while. These big beams in behind me here, I'll show you guys. They're great and all, they're wood, but they're quite old and they are a little saggy on the ends. I mean, that's no offense to anyone. That doesn't always go hand in hand. But they're not in great shape and they're not affixed super well. And that's what supports the entire center of the floor. So what I had intended to do on this trip around, and actually I kind of pigeonholed myself into doing it because I accidentally cut partially through one of them, is replacing those with aluminum beams. And I didn't even think about it at the time. And then Liam and Donk had mentioned, hey, if you've got these beams going in anyway, why don't you put a gantry permanently in, and then you can just use those beams as gantries for the future. So
now,
brilliant idea.
This is exactly why we are doing this build in real time, for ideas like that, because the hive mind came together. I'm like, permanent gantry system. Why are we not doing that? Yeah.
And there's other benefits as well. Like the big thing was we've always had an I-beam that supported the center of the floor in the engine room. And it's a headbanger. Like you walk through the engine room and it's the perfect height to catch you right on the crown of the head. If we do this with the aluminum beams, I can actually inset that I-beam into the other beams. So there will be nothing hanging down to rack my head on when I'm walking through the engine.
Now, one person did mention when they talked about this with the aluminum I-beams, is it because they don't use aluminum I-beams because of the flex of the boat with the heat and the cold and the temperature changes?
Somebody did mention that there was a possibility of the expansion rate of aluminum causing issues and a big length, possibly buckling bulkheads. I suppose that is theoretically possible. What are your thoughts on that, Brent?
It just depends on the dimensions of the I-beam.
Yeah.
So the vertical tension isn't necessarily related to material as much as it is to depth. And as long as the car will fit on the I element of the beam and there's enough depth of beam, and for your boat, given the weights we're managing, I would think a 4-inch I-beam is going to be pretty adequate for something like this.
And but I think that would match up with what we have.
Yeah, having the ability to put it in place or have it removable and put it in place where you need it across different axes is it'd be a phenomenal add-on. Lots of times we use come-alongs with fixed points, and you sling things around inside an engine room with weight. So it comes down to convenience, vertical capacity, and what do you like?
Yeah, fair enough. And if we're already replacing it with something, then it makes sense to use it that way. My concern was, like they said, if we've got this locked in tight on both ends, and the boat heats up, the engine room heats up, is that going to create a outward force on the boat? Which I suppose it probably wouldn't, because the sides of the boat are going to heat up as well, and the boat is, the aluminum is going to expand there too. They were just expressing concern that the expansion of the aluminum in that length could possibly cause buckling issues on the fore and rear bulkheads.
Yeah, you can always make your I-beam sectional as well.
Yep, and I suppose we could always just cup it on one end as well, so it's got a little bit of room to shift and move on the one end.
Okay, now we had another suggestion, which was great, and not a suggestion, a question, and it came up a lot in the YouTube comments. So PB Schultz, can you provide a diagram of the intended system? It's coming. We don't even really know it yet, but maybe during the live in 2 weeks, we'll have it and we'll put it out for everybody. But this question is a lot, is have you thought about using pods and get rid of the drive shafts altogether?
Yes, but not for this portion of the project. Maybe in the future at some point, but right now we have enough on our hands just doing this currently.
Remember, it's a never-ending sea trial.
Yes, we got to leave something for the future, right?
Also, pods. I'm a bit worried about pods in where we are right now. The amount of logs and stuff in the water. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Going with a pod, maybe something like a newer rim-driven pod, where the motor's built into the pod itself. I suppose that would get rid of some of the losses throughout the system, all the bearings, the cutlass bearings on the way through. And I know Brent can probably comment on this, but I've also read that you get a bit efficiency benefits because of the pods are pushing the boat straight forward rather than at an angle like a standard shaft, which is using part of your thrust to lift the boat out of the water.
Yeah, the counter rotation of the pod propellers can be beneficial. I've built a couple of production boats, or designed a couple of production boats for companies with pod drives, both IPS and the Zeus drives. And while they do work tremendously more efficiently than a single propeller can, one of the challenges they face is ultimate performance characteristics. So a counter-rotating propeller in a pod is best idealized in a large, faster application. So if you want 20 knots of speed, it's a great way to go. If you're doing 8 knots of speed, not quite as efficient and comparable with the single 3 or 4 blade propeller. So whether you want to incorporate the cost of changing over to a pod drive, like on a couple of the boats that we designed for Grand Banks, where we had the Grand Banks 41 and the Aleutian 53, we incorporated Zeus drives because it meant you could have all the space that these two are sitting in right now as living space. We moved all the drive system backwards. And they worked really well when the boat was going quick, but they were not quite as efficient when the boat was going slow. And benefits spatially, yes, phenomenal. Performance, not so much. So my thoughts on pods.
It's good to know because we just don't know, right? And that's why you ask the experts.
Yeah.
So this one was funny.
I'm just got scars and road rash from experience.
I'll consider you an expert. Sorry. Anyways, for the last 2 weeks, we've been running a contest on boat names, not boat names, project names for this. And we couldn't figure out, Blaine and I, why everybody was loving Operation Silent Running. We thought it was a play on Cool Runnings, the movie, until William Barry educated us and said that Silent Running was a cool 70s sci-fi movie.
Yep. Had no idea. Yep. Because I think it launched in 72. I was born in 76. Janice was born in...
I would have been 1.
Yeah. So,
but tell us more about. We did some research into this movie, and we are so excited that this is the name that won.
Yep.
So we are now Operation Silent Running,
mm-hmm.
and tell us about like why we're so excited about it.
So the movie was about a space exploration. They were building a project on a spaceship where it was a botanist or something.
Yeah, we still have to watch.
We still have to watch. I don't 100% know. But then there were also people commenting, if you're going to name it Silent Running, then you have to name the generators Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
We had no clue why.
And I'm thinking like, Scrooge McDuck, kind of Disney, whatever. Apparently in the movie, there were 3 robots, and the 3 robots were Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So yeah, it fits with the project. And it's actually kind of funny. The robots had little block numbers, number 1, number 2, and number 3, that are going to look really good on Genset covers when we smack them on there. And yeah.
So I'm thinking the names of the Jennies, Brent, are Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Unless we have a fourth, then it's going to be Scroogey. I can't remember. Fooey. So, have you watched Silent Running, Brent?
I have. It's a phenomenal movie.
Well, there you go. So he gets it.
But I named
it. So, awesome name for the project, Operation Silent Running. So cool. Thank you guys for that.
Congratulations, everybody.
I know. This one, Rick H3694, very smart move with the hatch, and that was over there.
Yeah, we haven't decided 100% on that yet because that's going to require some thinking.
Well, we didn't read the whole thing. He says, I would leave the hatch and just floor it where you can remove it easily for future.
Yep. We gotta put some thought into that because it's got to look good as well.
Yes.
So, but we are, and I don't even think Brent knows about this. They're talking about the hatch, the wood floor going into the galley, Brent, and they were saying we should leave it to where it's accessible rather than putting flooring back over it. Just make like a removable hatch with D-rings or whatever, where it can be removed in the future for whatever.
Easy. Brent's like, yep.
Perfect. There we go.
Eric said the same thing, and then I can't remember who it is. Eric said, don't cover up the hatch, frame it out. But then I can't remember, one person said, oh, I didn't put that there. To put plexiglass there instead and have you can look down in the window. Like, if you guys have known us well enough, can you show the camera over there?
Oh boy.
There's a plexiglass hatch over here. Can you guys see it in the middle? Right there. Right by all the ratchet straps.
Yeah.
That goes into our black water tank. That is the poop tank.
Look at my poop.
And Blaine has a plexiglass poop lid.
Hey,
you gotta fix it.
You gotta be able to monitor your poop levels, and we don't have a tank level sender.
We have no tank level, so we put plexiglass.
And tank level senders for blackwater tanks are notoriously difficult to get reliable ones too.
Yeah, so someone said instead of putting a hatch, put a plexiglass, so when you're in our galley, you can look right down in the engine room.
It would be cool, but I don't know that's high on the list of must-dos.
And then the last big suggestion we had, and lots of you guys said this. RJ Bobbly 8450 says, time to add thrusters fore and aft. Think about it.
We've
thought about it lots.
Yeah, it's for priorities for us. Thrusters have never really been one of those.
No.
We've always been pretty happy with what we can do with the boat, with what we've got. And never really had it as a major priority.
No, we've never actually needed them. Or have we ever been in a situation where we're like, I wish we had thrusters?
There would be times where, sure, it would make life easy in some places. But, I mean, it's not like $50,000 or $100,000 if you do both ends of the boat.
I kind of pride ourselves in being able to dock her. No issues, just the two of us.
Yeah.
Third, if Izzy's here, we're very lucky. Without thrusters.
Yeah.
We just need
Then we can sit on the bow and make snide remarks at the guys coming in using all thrusters.
That's rude.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
But no, as soon as we get our aft spring line on with this boat on the dock, we're good to go.
Yeah.
So that's our priority. Just get that aft spring line on, and then Blaine drives forward. And the way this boat works, Tangaroa, she's really cool. She just sucks right into the dock.
Yep.
So aft spring line on first, and then I go to the bow and we get the bow line on first, and then the stern line in, and we suck her right in, and then the forward spring. We have had no issues.
Nope.
We also don't go to a dock very often. So we're only at a dock maybe twice a month. right now. This will happen more in Japan when we get there. But yeah.
I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, but it's just not priorities for this yard visit.
No. Speaking of Japan, I was at the vet today starting the process with Maggie because it's 220 days of a process to get her into Japan. And today was process number 2 where she got her second rabies shot and her blood work. $1,000.
Man, they are really good at working pet owners and yeah.
Okay, Brent and Blaine, you guys ready for the questions?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay, let's start at the top.
Love the dog, by the way. It's worth whatever.
Oh,
she's
still,
a sweetheart.
That's crazy. Let's wave to people. Bonita, RV Sparky's here, Rick Donor, Bonita Tillman, Eggby, Jazzmac. Hi. He or she, is addicted to us. Yay.
Nice.
R52 Euphoria, Lady Luna's here. Hi, Lady Luna. You're not rushing off for a game? So Bonita says, can't wait to see the engine room painted white.
That makes all of us.
It's going to look great.
But first we have to get all this insulation off and get it all cleaned up and then get it all re-insulated.
Yeah. When are the electric engines coming, Brent?
I think the electric motors, basically they're looking at 8-week delivery on those. So just to give everybody a status update on the evaluation of the electric system, we are currently evaluating 4 different integral suppliers. So one of the goals with this vessel is that we have completely turnkey controls and management systems for the vessel. To do that, we can go with unique suppliers and do that integration ourselves. And with someone like Blaine, that's absolutely a feasible approach. But for most humans, it's better if the system is completely integrated and completely turnkey control prior to being installed. So we're investigating those paths first, and there are 4 different systems that we're evaluating. We are going to be doing in-factory visits and audits of all of those suppliers. And once we get Blaine's sense of where he wants to go with the systems, because ultimately this is an owner-driven process, we will then have the committed dates, time, single line diagrams, and a tremendous amount of technical data to share with everybody.
It's going to be exciting. And we're not telling you guys what engine yet. Sorry, you're going to have to wait.
Too early in the process for that.
Yeah. Now, Tim is asking, are you still going to have, I'm guessing, diesel-powered motors in the boat?
Yes. Diesel engines are still going to be what's going to power the gensets for sure.
But they're generators.
Yes.
Engines, not motors. Blaine was telling me the difference between engines and motors. I did not know there was a difference.
Well, engines are typically ICE, and then motors are typically the electric spinny bits.
So what are we having?
We're having both.
Diesel engines?
We're having diesel engines to drive generators, and then we're having electric motors to drive the shafts.
Yes.
Propulsion.
Tim, this is also early on. Tim asked about the diesel motors.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're out. They're sitting on the tarmac.
I know. Eggbot answered him. But Tim, thank you so much for being here, by the way. These are great questions. Brent, thank you for your guidance so far. That's what River Randy says. Let's go.
It's been a real pleasure to meet a bunch of the people on this channel offline as well and discuss their systems and their ideas. And, again, we've had a lot of comments about, does this make sense? What's the payback? And to be perfectly blunt, in a lot of situations, there is no payback and it's not a great idea. Where you're doing this kind of a refit, where you're literally torched earth on the machinery and equipment system and looking for that ultimate efficiency for the next step, and you're going to do it anyways, it is pragmatic and there is payback and there is value in service and cost of maintenance and things like that. And that's really the light everybody should take into this. Like, this is a decision Blaine and Janice did not enter into lightly at all. And I still remember the day when Blaine came over to see Karma and looked in the machinery room and went, "This is so simple. This is what I've always wanted to do." And his ambition is a bigger scaled system for sure. But in the case of a vessel where you are looking to extend the life for another 25, 30 years, it's a completely realistic way to go. If you were doing this just on a whim and it was a new boat you wanted to update, I'd be the first person to tell you not the greatest idea on the planet. But we will address the ROI and the cost of the entire structure as we go forward with this.
But I think the big thing is not just cost savings. It's like, it is lifestyle for us. We live and we travel far on this boat. And when you're traveling at 10, 12-hour travels or overnight, and that engine is going constantly, it's crazy. And that whole, again, like I explained to people, that whole body experience, that when the engines turn off and you can keep going, just like a sailboat, that's amazing. So it's going to be nice when we're traveling. It's a 10-day crossing from the Aleutians to Japan, where we can probably just take a break and turn off the thing. Sure. Also, the generators are going to be so much quieter.
Oh, yeah.
So the Detroits were crazy loud.
Yeah.
Cummins were half, which was nice. And now we're like down here.
Yeah. And another thing that people have to keep in mind as well is this isn't just propulsion. This isn't just a matter of pushing the boat through the water. This is giving us, massive amounts of horsepower to run the boat on. There will literally be zero anxiety for power. I will never have to worry about issues with power. I mean, I could put a 50 amp plug on the side of the boat for friends to plug into, and they were tied up to us, and it would still be okay for that. So I mean,
we should do that.
Maybe we'll see. We have 30 amp. Can't be too greedy. But yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not just the propulsion. There's so many other benefits that come with this that are not propulsion related that it just makes it worth it.
Yep. So Steve says, sorry for me, it's ice for life. And we totally respect that.
Yeah.
Right? Totally respect
Everybody's got their own comfort zones.
Yep. Hey, we have a couple Cummins to sell, Steve. Interested?
Yeah. No, and it's very early in the market for this kind of solution. There was another question about multiple banks and redundancy and serviceability.
Oh, we're not there yet. I'm coming from the top. I'll get to it. Trust me. You're just way too keen on. We're getting there. We're going to try and get through all of them tonight, even before you leave, okay? Bonita wants to know, are we also removing the framework on the floor?
We are removing most of it. So a lot of this framework that held up the floor panels was already pretty poorly done, or maybe not poorly done, just has not lived well. So I was already planning on redoing that anyhow. But I'm also thinking about dropping the floor down lower as well, because they've got everything built up on these brackets to kick the floor up. And quite honestly, it'd be simpler and probably more effective to just drop it right down to the ribs of the boat, because they're well out of the bilge. It wouldn't be an issue, and that would give me more headroom. Make everything a little bit more pleasant.
No head banging.
Nope.
They also want to know, with your new battery system, will there be a way to isolate segments of the bank in case you need to work on part of it without losing your whole house system? Let's go that one to Brent.
There's definitely going to be at least 2 unique banks so that you can have A or B on, or A and B on. And that is for purposes of redundancy, serviceability, ultimately reliability. That is key to this kind of structure. Depending on the ultimate selection of the battery provider, we could have up to 4 banks, and each one of them is individually connected in parallel, so that it gives you the capacity still, but you do have the serviceability. So we'll talk a lot more. We'll do a whole section just on batteries as we get here, as again, a lot of the offline conversations have been about how do you choose a power battery versus an energy battery. And when you're dealing with what these guys are doing, it's not an energy battery anymore. It does have to have power elements to it to be able to manage higher discharges and faster charging rates as well. That's
good to know. And then Melchizedek says, personally, the only calcs I actually care about is the ROI, and that's coming. We are going to be genuine, authentic, open, honest, transparent about this. Okay, you're here. Like, we are doing this in real time. Like, I can't get any more real that these engines were here like 8 hours, not even.
No.
5 hours ago, they were sitting here.
Yep, and the funny thing is, I mean, we're on YouTube. You're seeing it. Like,
yeah, and for everyone's consideration, the number one influencer on ROI on any of these projects is frequency of use. So if you are going to live aboard 24/7 and travel 365 days a year, you'll generate a better ROI than you will if you're only spending 100 hours a year on the boat on weekends in the summer. It's material to the value that gets pushed back to you in terms of pure cash. Subjective value, everyone's different, but cash value, that is what matters.
Now, Patrick makes a good point, and I've heard this from you guys before. You can never run an engine at optimal efficiency except as a specifically designed generator. Well, for example, locomotives do this.
Yes.
Right? And I know you've talked about that before.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, look at so J.S. Finos. Sorry, I don't know. Hi from Sydney. Hey, down under. I have a 1984 Hatteras 70 motor yacht with 12 V71 engines. We had those.
Yep.
Yep. I am awe-smacked at your plans. Are out of sheer curiosity, what would you propose for my boat?
Ooh, that's a pretty broad question.
What it comes down to, and we've had a number of conversations with people watching this channel in the last couple of weeks. If the expectations of peak performance of something like a Hatteras 70 are there, you're going to need in the neighborhood of 12 to 1400 kilowatt of e-motor capacity to generate the horsepower to replace your 18 to 20 knot top end speed. If that's important to you, then we would typically suggest a two-motor approach where you've got a cruising speed e-motor and a top end e-motor. It's a little more complicated because you'd have a transmission to manage the two of them onto the shafts. If you're looking at making a cruising performance compromise and saying I'm only going to do 10 knots, then we can look at a single e-motor structure. Oddly enough, if you're interested, we're doing a project and commissioning it next week in Perth, Australia, that you guys would be more than welcome to come and have a look at a commercial yard. But there are right answers and wrong answers with this structure with existing vessels and speed performance expectations. What we try and do is represent honestly what those characteristics are so that you can make a meaningful discussion. But the equipment's there to do it. It's whether or not it makes financial sense or not, or performance sense.
Perfect.
Now, Patrick says, is an aluminum I-beam sturdy enough for gantry weight?
It's the funny thing is the gantry, if it's being used for a gantry purpose, would be just like what I have behind me. You can see right here behind Janice, right here, these vertical beams. There were already two of those in the center of the engine room that were always there. And whenever this was being used for gantry duty, it's likely I would have other party poles to put in to support the exactly.
I had party poles growing up.
Yep.
My parents had good dance parties.
So yeah, we would have beams that would go in a temporary aspect to support the gantries when they're in use.
So you know what's really cool about this? And I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments a little bit here also. Randy is also trying to do the same on a 64 Hatteras motor yacht from 1975. I love that you guys have old boats and you're bringing them back up.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's really cool. Yeah, because they all have personality. I like these old boats.
Personality.
Spaceman says aluminum. You have an aluminum boat, aluminium. Thermal rate of expansion should be a non-issue.
Yeah, should theoretically be the same, I would imagine. So,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Fabrizio's in the house. Hey, Fabrizio. Hit the like button. Thank you, Blue Diva. So I'm going to meander right down here. Hit some questions.
So we got a lot of comments to sift through, everybody. Is that a question right there?
Yeah. I know you talked about different pitch, maybe for the electric drive on the props. Will you be changing the blade count as well?
Not currently. So that won't happen in this yard visit, because really what we're trying to do here is give apples to apples. We don't want to change a whole bunch of things because that's going to muddy up the results of everything. So we're going to figure out where we're starting right now. And then there are certainly, Brent has talked about this, there are prop designs that are better suited for electric motor propulsion versus ICE motor. And we might look into those in the future.
Yep. RV Sparky, thank you.
Thanks.
We needed that this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $5 for coffee. Trust us, we definitely needed that this morning. Hold on, I had a good question. Where was it?
I don't know.
I can comment on the motor bearing problems note there. It's absolutely critical when you're picking an e-motor that you do understand the thrust issues that are associated with the propeller. So in a lot of cases, vehicles, cars, trucks, etc., don't have the same thrust characteristics of a propeller that's pushing their shaft in and out of the boat at the same time. And it absolutely is super critical to having an e-motor that has the bearing structure, or having a thrust bearing between the e-motor and the shaft that's going to accept the variation in pressure that you're going to get from a propeller shaft on board a boat. Phenomenal question. Thanks so much for asking it. But when we recommend e-motors, the context of bearing within the e-motor is so important to ensure that you have the right product to start with, but that also that we do take into account the thrust of a vessel, especially with the displacement of a vessel like Tangaroa, in order to make sure that thrust doesn't offset the e-motors and cause them a lot of damage.
Now, on that same note, nope, not yet. On that same note, a lot of issues that they've had in some bearings, and this is in ICE engines as well, is due to electrical arcing in the bearings if you've got improper isolation, things like that. And I'm assuming that we're probably going to be working some solutions into that as well, Brent?
Well, we'll be isolating again in this vessel. Each voltage family will have isolation to the others, and that is really, really important. But the other thing is we can now measure the impact where you have crossover voltage issues, especially related to grounding and bonding, to how they could affect the motors and the batteries, frankly. So, but isolation is super, super, super important on all of the systems when you get to this level of electrification.
Now, have you seen what's happened with Tally Ho and with the Samson Boat Company, that he's been having troubles with his electric motors and the bearings? Does that kind of go along the same of what you've been talking about?
Yes.
That's actually not quite the same, because they're not running those in thrust loading. They're doing axial loads on those motors, because they're running belt drives on those, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. But even with the belt drive, you can have issues in terms of how it's going to load the bearings, right? That tends to be an uneven load in relative to the bearings. And if you I don't know which motors they've chosen, to be perfectly honest, but we've helped a number of people in the last few years who selected motors that were underbearinged or had single bearing structures on them. So those bearings were carrying way too much stress at one side or the other, depending on how the belts were driving them. And everything in the world is about harmony and balance, especially when it comes to things like bearings. But quality of bearings is one of our criteria for auditing our e-motor suppliers for all these kind of projects.
Perfect. And you'll see that once you guys are heading over to the e-motor suppliers places. We'll talk about that. Jim Calver says, have you considered oil centrifuges for secondary oil cleaning when the engines are running?
I don't know if I understand. Yeah, centrifugal filters. I did actually do a little bit of looking into those. I know some of the big trucks use those, and they actually use oil pressure to spin a centrifuge on them. They're typically not available in smaller engines. I've only seen them in bigger, heavier engines. I mean, anything to get more of the carbon and contaminants out of the oil is better as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I just don't know what's available for smaller engines, and we will be using smaller engines in this build.
Now, Blue Moo, and we've had a lot of people comment about this too, because they say we're not going to be able to get service on the engines where we're going. And they mentioned turnkey has huge risks unless you are A, always near major docks and ports for servicing, and B, even then there are few international electric providers and they will take time to fix things. How do we answer that?
There's some truth to that, depending upon the criteria of selecting a turnkey supplier. So when I started electrifying boats, we had partners like Siemens, Wärtsilä, and ABB. So large commercial entities that were used to supplying turnkey systems. And I agree 100% with your comment in context that if the supplier of the system is focusing on providing you with equipment just because they purchased it, and that's one of their company portfolio parts, then yes, turnkey is not a great idea. We're at a really unique position right now with Tangaroa in that our evaluation of turnkey is based on integration and complete ability to incorporate performance, not just be parts that a company supplies. So in all of our cases, we're dealing with integrators who have one or two specialty components, but have developed partnerships with other power electronics or component suppliers and had to create the integration bridge, if you want, to make sure that everything works together, speaks to each other, measures performance, and creates a serviceable matrix of communications. So we've taken the advantage of 16 years of, again, scars and road rash and applied it to how do you evaluate turnkey. And if the supplier can't service these guys, at least in the manner you're describing here, they wouldn't even be considered for supply. And to give you an example, one of the main integrators we're considering is a company that produces a lot of its power electronics in China, but takes them and reprocesses them effectively in the United States to American standards, or call it international standards, and has done a really, really, really good job of evaluating the same risks that we face, because they're typically supplying the oil and gas industry, the mining industry, places that require 24/7 uptime and propellers that don't stop turning. And that's one of the major things that I think Janice and Blaine are going to benefit from, is that we're not supplying this with, no offense to the RV world, but RV batteries or RV components. We're putting in commercial industrial supply chain partners here whose total DNA is about 24/7 uptime. And with a vessel that is taking the risk of going to Japan, let alone Alaska or the northern part of Vancouver Island, they're incredibly isolated from a serviceability and a maintenance perspective. And, we're really fortunate that we have super mechanic Blaine sitting on the boat who can interpret and manage and incorporate all the service into it. But with or without Blaine, you need to have the system effectively designed to operate without any kind of maintenance like that at all, and being able to monitor it remotely so that you can anticipate the service issues instead of be a victim of them. And I can tell you comfortably, after building hundreds of boats for the commercial marine industry, we've been very fortunate to have that approach it like you fix it before it breaks. It has been so beneficial to how we approach the design of the systems. And it's exactly what, even though this isn't a commercial boat, we have to think of it like it needs commercial reliability. So that integration has to be founded in the concept of that commercial reliability.
Yep.
We've done a lot of homework, a lot.
And it never stops. The homework continues to this afternoon.
Constant. Blue Davis says, now that you have an empty systems room, will you be building a workshop on board for all of Blaine's tools?
Honestly, that is going to wholly depend on what kind of space we have left when all this stuff goes in.
So Brent is arriving tomorrow, and Brent, you explained you like to mock up things, right? Like get door skin and everything, kind of like what Uma did.
I'm a 3D modeler, yes.
So you're going to come in and we're going to get a whole bunch of door skin and the measurements of the proposed systems that are going in. And what are we going to do?
we're going to build the engine room.
And you know what? You guys are all going to see it.
Door skin powered Tangaroa.
I know. It's going to be cool, but we're going to lay it all out.
Yeah, this part of the project, guys, and again, appreciate what they're doing and bringing you real-time videos of this, because this is where, one thing I will say about the people in this feed that I've met so far in the last few weeks, incredibly knowledgeable group of people, phenomenally talented, and a lot of insights that make a lot of sense. And a village that can design this kind of boat is so much better than any individual could be. And you all bring so much practical experience to the table that when you see the mock-ups in the wood mock-ups look kind of primitive, but they do give you a better sense of 3D space. And then Blaine can tell you all about where he's going to stuff his tools.
Yep.
If I know Blaine, they're just going to be all over the boat.
I think the more important question is where are we going to stuff the washer and dryer?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know if it's pretty enough for the engine.
Fabrizio is, I wonder, Blaine, if you could mount one of those engines in the boat, just if you're stuck halfway between North America and Asia, seeing that you have such expertise with engines. So you want us to bring a spare Cummins with us?
That's a lot of space. I don't.
Well, you're definitely going to need that gantry system then.
Yeah.
We're going to be mounting a spare Cummins.
There's all sorts of options for get home motor stuff. I mean,
Blaine's really good at paddling.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the Cummins. I mean, there's a way that you could integrate in get home engine or get home motors into the generator mechanical side. This is all stuff like we'll chat about it and figure out if that's something that we would ever really want to do. I'm less concerned about the reliability standpoint because we will have a lot of redundancy on this boat the way that it's going in. So my concern with having a spare mechanical engine is less, but it's always something to talk about and think about.
Yeah. Now Brent has to leave in, sorry, Brent, how much longer do you have?
8 minutes.
Okay. I have a couple specific Brent questions I'm going to get into, and then I will come back to them, okay? Now, Northwest Coast wants, Brent, is there a best hull brand you have found for hybrid considering hull efficiency, space, etc.?
Nope. Sorry, I'm a pretty boring answer guy when it comes to this. The efficiency it's the same function of efficiency for an ice-driven boat as it is for an electric-driven boat. The slip coefficient or the coefficient of efficiency of the hull doesn't change too much. You will find some designs requires more energy at certain points to push than others, but by and large, if a vessel's a good sea boat under any context, it's going to be a great sea boat when it is electrically driven. Sorry.
Another question for you from Fabrizio says, just wondering, Brent, what I'm hearing is 4 substantial diesel generators is the fuel savings that match better, seeing that Blaine achieved 2 gallons an hour each engine. So that was 4, it's actually about 4.5 cruising speed with the Cummins.
That's going to end up being a result of the final choice of the generator itself. The fuel efficiency of the system will be as good as it can be. But frankly, for 45 to 50 kilowatts of energy, which is what we need for cruising speed aboard the boat, you're going to be in that 4-gallon-ish range, whichever you do. I don't care whose platform you choose. But what will be different about it is that it can operate that way at 90% of the time. So when you're dealing with typical ice engines, like what we've had here at the Cummins on board or the Detroits, they're running at lower efficiency to manage that cruising speed all the time. And whether they can achieve that same fuel efficiency at that lower efficiency versus a generator that's running at its peak performance characteristic is to be compared. But the other element of that level of efficiency is emissions. And one thing I will say 100% for sure is that an ice engine running at 20 to 25% efficiency produces significantly more emissions than any ice engine running at 80 to 90% efficiency. So the higher the level of efficiency of the platform, the more environmentally efficient it is, and then the peak efficiency from fuel consumption is achievable. But what you're also dealing with then is also the reduced hours of operations and the cost maintenance of it as well. So it's a smorgasbord of comparative tools, and you can pick one or the other. When we get to that episode, I suspect you guys will want to see the performance across the board and understand what the efficiency is on every level, and we'll present that to you guys.
Now, Brent, we got one last question for you, but guys, don't go anywhere because we will continue them. I'm going to go back up to where we left off. Okay, Brent just has his daughter down in La Paz, and she is flying out. So they're having a goodbye dinner.
Yep. One of my kids lives in New Zealand, so she's on her way back to the big white smoke.
Well, Brent, then this is good. This is Scott from Sydney. Different country. Always asking Aussie if they're a Kiwi first. You don't want to offend the Kiwi. I know. Anyways, Scott is Sydney with the 70 plus Hatteras again. Average cruising speed is 8.5 knots. What size battery and what motors might be required?
Size of battery is going to vary, Scott. With a vessel like that, you're going to want 300 to 400 kilowatt hours of energy storage, most likely. That's a function of your hotel loads and how long you want to be off generator while you're running on your batteries. You could go more, but I would say that you'll be in that range. Your e-motors are going to require around 200 to 240 kilowatts, and I'm bullshit guessing here, but something in that neighborhood to get you to the point where you can cruise at 8.5 knots. And if you want, what I need is beam, displacement, and length of waterline are the three factors we start with in terms of coming up with a speed curve that's a good draft for anyone to look at their boats. And I'm happy to generate curves until the cows come home for you guys. And then once you see that data, if it even begins to make sense for you, then we're happy to get into the weeds and understand exactly the answers to Scott's question here. But it'll be something like that, I would expect.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for Brent for joining us.
Thank you, Brent.
If you guys liked having Brent, we need to know if we invite him back. No, we'll always invite you back. So press the like, just like what Fabrizio says, pound, smash, poke, prod, do the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much. But we are going to keep going with the questions. Brent, have an amazing dinner with your daughter. And we will see you in a couple days right here, right?
Okay. Have a great day, guys.
In this engine room. And you guys will see him on YouTube in a couple days on this engine room also.
Tomorrow night.
Fun.
Bye, Brent. Okay, back to the questions.
There we go.
I know, it was awesome, eh?
Yeah. I like having Brent on the live.
I know, so do I. Did you ever use a sound level meter to measure the noise level in the engine room? Would be nice to know how many decibels each system had for comparison.
I don't think I did.
No.
Because I'm never hanging out in the engine room, so it was never super important to me. It's always in the pilot house where
we measured it in the wheelhouse.
Yes.
And we will put that up on Facebook and in our YouTube community posts here. And you notice we post things also. It's like a Facebook feed or an Instagram feed on YouTube has put out. So we'll put the picture of the decibel meters there.
Yeah, I think it was like 76 decibels in the pilot house for the Detroits, and it's 68 with the Cummins, something like that.
Yeah, there's quite a difference, about half.
It's almost half.
Yeah. Burdette, is there structural concerns about lowering the floor?
No, because the bits that the floor panels sit on, they're just like little pieces of angle aluminum. They're not for any sort of strength at all. They, matter of fact, most of them are pretty pathetic looking. Some of them are bent, and it's got to get redone. They're terrible.
Now we do have some super chats that came in, Blaine.
Sweet.
And we do see these, and we really appreciate this.
Aw,
Bonita
guys,
and Kay have a
thank
beer
you.
cider on us. Right now, I think it'd be hair of a dog a little bit.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Again, we are crowdfunding this project, guys. So it's with all the help of you guys. It's been awesome. RV Sparky, $10. Oh, have you figured out how to automate your fuel transfer value system?
I haven't got into that a lot yet. I did look into some of the valving for that. Quite honestly, I have had a fairly large amount of you guys that have expressed interest in programming and doing things like
awesome.
a lot of guys that just seem to be really excited about doing that stuff for various things, stabilizers, the fuel system, other tank level sensor stuff. So I don't know if I'll even end up doing all of that. My programming is not super awesome.
You know what's kind of cool? What I'm seeing that's coming together. This isn't our project. This is
It's
our project.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like there's been so many people reaching out that want to help with the project, and it's super appreciated.
Yeah,
love you guys.
Wayhart1, thank you so much for the donation. We really appreciate it. When do you think you'll be back in the water? Blaine, when are we going to be back in the water?
May, June would be my guess.
Yeah, this is a big project.
Yeah. So, fortunately, we're hoping that, well, Janice and I are hoping that we can get some of the stuff on the way. For example, the thrust bearing, if we need one, which we probably will. If I can get that in, then I can get that mounted. I can get all that ready to go. If we can get the e-motors, I think the generators were the longest one that we had to wait for. But if we can get the e-motors in, we can get all that stuff mounted. And then quite honestly, putting the generators in and wiring them in, probably not going to take that much time.
Not as much as it was with the Cummins when we were fabricating everything.
Yeah. I mean, these are literally just going to be dropping on the block, and I've got to hook up fuel and water lines and an exhaust.
And we don't know where the exhaust is going yet. So again, you're along for the ride. We are making decisions as we go. We really have no clue.
And we don't know quite yet, if we're 3 generators, 4 generators. Everything is kind of still in flux.
Tim and Bonita say, love the bank design Brent talked about. Ooh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you'll end up with more redundancy over more of the systems than you originally had.
Yes, absolutely. Especially generators. I mean, the way that we were set up when we left originally, we were going to have the second generator, and that was always planned for basically this yard visit, even if we didn't do the hybrid. But yeah, we had 1 generator, and that was all that we had that would charge our main house bank. So yeah, I had planned on doing the second generator and alternators on both engines to charge the house bank.
This kind of came at the right time.
Yeah,
maybe it should have come just before the Cummins, but
yeah, that would have been nice.
Blue Diva, we did pass this along to Brent. He saw it before he left. Huge thank you to Brent and everybody at OSEA for supporting Janice and Blaine's future adventures with Tangaroa.
It's going to
be amazing seeing the R&D collaborations.
Yeah, they have been amazing.
We are so happy to be a part of that company now. Again, like they are not giving us everything for free. We've explained this to everybody. We have bought in. We're using our own money to buy into the company because we believe in what they're doing and that this is possible for yachts in the recreational
exactly. And I mean, the benefit for us is A, we get a hybrid system that I've always wanted, and B, like we're going to show everybody what is actually possible. There's a lot of negativity that you'll see. A lot of people saying that it won't work. We are confident that it will. Brent has got an enormous amount of experience in this field, and we don't know people online. I do know him and his background, so we're confident that we're.
And I know both of them and their background, so I'm confident it's going to happen. Usually, when Blaine sets his mind to something, it kind of works out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say something, and I can't remember now. No. And what's cool is Tangaroa is going to be the testing platform for OSEA in the future, right? So as new technology comes out, it will be tested in this boat to see with the miles we put on her what can happen, and we can show you what can happen. So that's why the hatches are a really good idea. Sorry. I don't know. So Patrick says the Digital Mermaid is slowly building out her DIY dual EV motorboat.
Nice.
I don't know them. We will check it out. Mm-hmm. There is a guy here in.
Don't laugh, Janice. Don't laugh. I don't know what to say about it, but
I think it's amazing. I love the kid's gumption. I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about. I can't remember his channel's name.
The Prius build, but it's not.
He has a boat here in Vancouver over at Shelter Island. And this kid, I have to give him cred.
Yeah.
He bought an old Prius, and he is taking his Prius engine or motor.
It's like everything. It's not just the motor.
The whole Prius innards minus the seats is going into his boat. And it's like a 50-foot.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We
for
will
sure.
find it and we'll put it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because
it's worth.
I gotta go
out.
meet this guy. Yeah. Eggbot, what's happening to your old battery rig? My dad's getting it. I grew up off grid out in northern Ontario near Thunder Bay, between Thunder Bay and Nipigon, in behind the Sleeping Giant. My dad and mom have a house in behind the Sleeping Giant, my stepmom, and it is an off-grid house. It's always been off-grid. They have the old, what batteries?
Lead acid.
Yeah. And they are way past their lifetime. But my parents are in their late 70s, and we are going to take the battery bank here and ship it over there to their house.
Not just the battery bank, the Victron equipment is going to go as well.
We're going to set them up because that's what kids do for their parents. Burdett wants to know if they make variable pitch props.
They do, and there are benefits to those. Unfortunately, there are efficiency penalties with variable pitch props as well. They're not, you can't get as an efficient and clean of a design with a variable pitch as what you can with a fixed pitch. And they are insanely expensive. We had one of those on the first yacht that I worked on. It was a Huntestead is what it was called. And it's a shaft and a shaft. So you'd have on that boat, I think we had like a 4-inch shaft. A shaft and a shaft. On that boat, I think we had like a 4-inch shaft, and it had a smaller actuation shaft that went on the inside. And then it had this gigantic, it looked like another transmission that went in the boat after the main transmission. And it was, super complicated. I actually had to disassemble that boat in Bora Bora underwater. We hung a tarp under the boat because
I was with you on this.
The prop nut was coming loose.
Yeah.
And rather than losing the prop, we actually went in the water with dive gear and disassembled the entire propeller. And I'm talking like, this is a 123-foot boat, single engine. So this was a massive propeller. And we took this thing apart blade by blade because you have to completely disassemble it to get to the hub nut. And we had to hammer it tight again in the water and then ding the threads to keep it from coming loose again.
But that tarp worked like a humdinger.
It
was a 123-foot boat, and that tarp went all under, and it was, what was the beam on that boat?
I think it was like 28
21?
feet, 27 feet. It was pretty wide.
Yeah. So it was sweet.
Yeah,
it worked great.
It was quite a thing.
But it also gave you something to push off of with the tarp.
Yeah. But yeah, the variable pitch props would be ridiculously expensive. I would not hesitate to say they're probably in excess of $100,000.
And Janice does not have a good reputation with props.
No.
I will send a picture out of what our prop looks like right now.
To ding one of those would suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like run-ins with wrenches. They totally know us. Add this to the we're freaking tired and don't feel like cooking. Thank you so much. We are exhausted after ripping this whole engine room apart. So we really, really appreciate that. We are going to keep going though. We are going to get through all these questions, guys. It's been just over an hour, but this is just awesome. Okay, I'm going back up.
Okay.
Sorry. Battery bank we talked about, variable pitch. We are right here. Net Wraith is here.
Yep.
Okay, your guys' fault.
Trouble.
I should have stopped at 2-siders. That was a rude awakening phone call this morning. And just to go back, RW Net Wraith, they were over last night. We appreciate them a lot. They are our type of people, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we did not expect to be doing this today.
No, and for me, it wasn't like hangover or anything. It's just I don't sleep well when I've had a few beers, and I did not sleep well last night. So that was a lot of tired this morning.
Connie has a great question. Would buying an extra e-motor and keeping it on board for backup be cost effective for safety and convenience?
I don't know. When you're talking about these e-motors, these things are like $20,000 for an e-motor. That's a lot of money. And if you're considering, like, we have 2 already, so we have redundancy built into that as well.
And how big are our motors going to be? Because that went on with Mel asked that.
Well, technically, like 100 kilowatts is what we'd be shooting for. But I think what we're going to probably find is that anything in the torque ranges that we're after is probably going to be more than that. But I'm speaking a little bit out of turn. Brent would know the answer to that better. But yeah, it is a lot of money to spend for, keeping a spare on board.
Fabrizio says, which I really like, it takes a village to raise a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? We are so grateful.
Yeah, quite honestly,
to all of you guys.
it's been fun too. I love reading the ideas, and you know,
even the trolls.
Yep. I mean, and don't be mistaken, guys. Like I haven't been commenting a lot on YouTube, but I'm still reading everything.
Every one of them.
So I'm seeing it all. I'm not trying to be rude by not commenting. We are so busy, and I am so tired by the end of the day that I have no energy.
Blue Diva asked about our kite system. Not our kite system, our dream kite system. We've already talked about this. Is yes, we probably will have a kite, and yes, it will be backup redundancy.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Not sure exactly what we'll ever end up going with. I would imagine by the time we get to that point, there will be some more advancements in that, which would be even better for us.
When we get our motors, Tim wants to see your armature blade.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be taking them apart to see the armature.
Tim wants to see your armature.
Okay, I'll see if I can get pictures when we're at the factory of the armature.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I bet I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spaced Man Spiff. LOL. 4 Jennies, 2 motors, and I'm assuming 2 ESC systems. Redundancy galore. What's ESC?
I'm not in electronic speed control systems, I'm assuming. Which would be the controllers for the motors.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, if we end up going with DC generators, they will use a controller for the generators that would theoretically be able to be moved onto an e-motor if we had a controller failure on an e-motor. So that's something that we're looking at as well.
You know what's really cool in the chat?
What's that?
The Hatteras people are getting together.
Oh yeah.
The ones with the old Hatterses.
Yeah.
We've seen Lady Luna. She's an absolutely stunning boat. She has a popcorn machine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
there's a popcorn machine in Lady Luna. Remember? The popcorn.
Oh, I know.
Trailer.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, they had just crossed the ocean with Lady Luna.
Yeah, Atlantic.
Yeah, they had come across the Atlantic with Lady Luna and Hatteras.
Yeah, it was awesome. Everybody saying goodbye to Brent. Getting rid of all those.
Bypassing all of those, not getting rid of it.
No, I'm not getting rid of everything. We're reading everything.
Yeah, just trying to sift through the questions.
Fabrizio said, "Are you sleeping in the engine room?"
No, it's too cold. I do have a heater down in here, but it gets cold in here, especially we got so much of the insulation off right now.
No,
but no, we'll be sleeping in the bedroom.
Yeah, I think OSHA, Ontario Health and Safety Advisory. I think it's OSHA. It's Ontario. Limit for 8 hours is 80 decibels. So being up in the 70s, decibels is not so great. It's loud.
It
wears on you after a while.
You had to raise your voice to talk to each other in the pilot house.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, the Cummins were infinitely better. We could chat without even raising our voices. And not only are we going to have better insulation in the boat, we're also getting rid of the chain and shaft system, so we won't have a hole here going up into the pilot house where the chain goes through behind the cabinet. And all of the generators will be in sound enclosures. So, I mean, we're going to be dealing with probably another half or more reduction in our current sound quality.
Now we only just have to work on Izzy and her yelling while gaming.
Yeah, that would.
If anybody has a teenager, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It could be an insulation suit for her.
Yes. RB Sparky, are you going to add any labeling adding to your boat name saying EV or something electric propulsion? We're not totally electric, though.
No, we're a hybrid electric. So, I mean, technically, we're electric propulsion. So
it's a good idea.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Haven't thought much about that.
No, 200 kilowatt motor. Quick search says 1,400 kilograms.
Yeah, I think the motors we're looking at are much less. You're probably looking at, I'm assuming, AC induction motors. The new permanent magnet motors are considerably smaller for the output. And we'll get into those when we're doing the factory tours as well. But yeah, they're much, much smaller than that.
Yeah. So Scott again from Sydney. Hi, Scott again.
Scott.
Again, 70 feet by 6 meters and 45 tons. So getting rid of the Detroits will reduce fuel consumption down 38 liters per hour, total at 8.5 knots, down to 10 to 12 liters per hour. So we took out 12 E71s. I don't know if you saw that. We are 80,000 pound boat.
Yeah.
We are going to talk in gallons. Sorry, that's a weird thing about Canadians, and Blaine's American dual, so we do sometimes talk in gallons.
Yeah.
We went from 10 gallons,
Nine
nine
gallons.
gallons with the Detroit to 4.5 gallons with the Cummins.
Yeah. And we're planning on dropping that again.
Yeah, and it was a huge difference going up to Alaska. Like huge cost savings. We went all the way up to Alaska, all the way through all the fjords and everything. If I remember correctly, we spent $7,000 in diesel, which sounds like a lot, but it was 6 months of cruising and a lot of miles.
Yeah, I think we did 3,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah. So we carry 3,000 gallons of fuel on board. So what's our range? You calculated this out last time.
Well, I mean, theoretical range is, I think, around 5,000 nautical miles or something like that.
What we had.
You never get that. That's just theoretical because the heater's running on diesel as well, and it can go through a bit.
Clive had to say goodnight.
Hi, Clive.
In Great Britain. Sorry, Clive. We're going to have to learn programming terms quickly, how this is going. Feature creep is going crazy already.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have more knowledge in programming, but that is a pretty steep learning curve. I can work with logic controllers, and where the programming's there, and I'm just telling it how to use the logic. But as far as like the main brunt of the programming, like working with Arduinos and stuff, I have very basic knowledge with that. Not enough to do the kind of projects that some of these guys are talking about.
No. Aurora Rue says, heard you say electric drive is direct drive. How do you make reverse work if no gearbox?
Just turn the motor backwards.
Huh?
It's that easy. Just spin the motor the other way.
That's how it works?
That's how it works. Electric motors, they'll go both directions. So you just put it in reverse and the motor goes the other way. Super easy.
Oh, I know. Chuck Summer says, I know the answer is going to be not for the first round, but I haven't watched 5+ YouTube videos on toroidal propeller.
Yeah, I have looked at the Sharrow
I consider
stuff.
myself an expert.
Yeah.
So are you guys considering this? He's an expert after 5 videos.
I've watched a lot of videos on toroidal, not just like the Sharrow stuff. I've looked at the the propellers for drones and the stuff that MIT or whatever they are working on them. It is super fascinating, and I think that I would certainly like to see more adequate testing on displacement vessels at slower speeds with those propellers. And so far, they may be newer videos out since the last time I looked, but so far there were none of those. I know they're making them for bigger boats. I just haven't seen any real hands-on testing, only for go fast, small outboard props is all I've seen.
Which brings us to Chuck asking about reverse with the toroidal propellers. He's hung up on the reverse thing.
Well, the reverse will be the same. Obviously, the motor wise goes, but from what I understand, the toroidal propellers are even better for reverse. They apparently have really good reversing characteristics.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't know, and I haven't seen any testing on that. But other than the outboard motor stuff.
And Chuck loves the name. I'm liking the name now that I know what it is.
Yeah.
Operation Silent Running, generators, Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Who cares who pays for the equipment? The IRS doesn't know. We actually, Tim,
probably know.
No, we're incorporated.
Yeah.
Tangaroa is incorporated company through Canada. So
yeah. We've learned you don't hide from them.
You don't hide from the CRA.
No. That makes for miserable.
Do you plan on? Oh, here we go. Do you plan on saving the 2 red toys until you're guaranteed everything is up and running and working properly? And also, what are they worth? We might even be forced into hanging on to them for that long. I mean, it's going to be whether or not we can find a buyer for them. But you want to sell them to someone with a truck who wants to hop up a truck.
I would prefer to sell them to somebody with a truck because I think I've mentioned this on a live before. There's a lot of custom on those engines. And for me, it's not a big deal because I know them inside and out because I built them. But for somebody that would be taking on those engines, that could be detriment to them. So I just don't feel comfortable selling that to somebody on a boat that unless they know 100% what they're getting into. Because like I said, they're not standard and that could end up being a pain in the butt. For somebody who's got a truck though, or somebody that wants to swap those engines into something else, that would be phenomenal, the setup that I have for those. And we would just sell the marine stuff separately.
Now, Just Guessing Garage says yacht City Light. That's what it is the Prius build.
Yeah.
That he is so smart. And we weren't laughing at him. We were laughing at just the idea. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you'll actually see.
We need to drive over and meet that kid.
You'll actually see occasionally you'll have a gentleman named Adam helping him. He was one of our first patrons from like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
He's an amazing friend.
And we've hung out with him on his boat. He's awesome. But it was funny seeing him in the videos.
Yeah, but Shelter Island is not far from here. So we are definitely going to have to drive over and see and meet this person because I love how his mind works.
That's,
he's like a young version of you.
He is being super creative with how he's doing everything.
I don't know if it's going to work, but
I don't either.
I just love it.
I have some questions, but it's, he's doing it. So
yeah, it's good. Hold on. Just curious, why not? Oh yeah, why not Tesla motors, Blaine? They have the horsepower and torque.
They do and don't. They're not designed for direct drive. They have transmissions built on them because they're super high RPM engines or motors. So they're not really great for what we're after. We're looking for something more direct drive to the shaft rather than having a transmission built around it to bring those motors to our engines or motors. Thank you. Bring the RPM down to what we can use out of them. But yes, they are super torquey and they would work. They're just not ideally what we're after. We're probably going to be running big 6-pole, low RPM, high torque motors is what we'll be using for this project.
But what's super torquey versus high torque?
Same thing.
That's what
it's just super torquey.
The
motors we're looking at are like 1,200 Newton meters continuous and 2,800 Newton meters peak for 30 seconds or something. So there's massive amounts of torque there.
Dwayne, hi Dwayne. I don't recognize Dwayne's name, so welcome. Back to the I-beam gantry. Without a central beam, can you create a hatch straight up through the aft deck? I really don't know your boat layout.
So the engines are actually nowhere near the aft deck.
They're actually forward.
They are. So I would say the engine room is in the front third of the boat. That's where the engine room is in the front third. So there's a very short from the bow. There's a little cruise quarters here.
Do it this way. We're 7-8 feet long.
Yeah.
The engine room front wall starts
probably
that
22 feet.
22 feet from the bow is where the front of the engine room is, and our engine room is how long?
15 feet long.
15 feet long.
Yeah. So it's way up front. So our hatch that we get the engines out of, the engines out of, is right in our galley. It literally goes right through our galley. There's a hatch right here, and then there's another one in the top of the boat that can be removed for getting the engines out. So yeah, it's way up front.
And you will see that video when I edit it tomorrow, and it comes out on Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday morning, the video of the engines coming out will come out. I promise. We are doing videos Wednesday morning, Friday morning, Sunday morning. Okay. We're really on the prop topic here. Have you thought of using Sharo propellers?
Yep, those are the ones that we were talking about earlier, the toroidals. Yeah. And
okay, same thing.
I like I said, I'd love to see some testing on them for the big boat stuff. That would be super awesome. They are probably going to be priced out of realistic expectations for what we'd be able to put on.
Yeah, we just don't have the money.
They're insane. If you look at what a standard propeller on an outboard motor costs versus one of those, that's shocking. Yeah. So imagine one this big around.
James and Morgan say, LOL, it was so much fun hanging out with you guys last night. We did show up to work and we're told it was a rest day. Sorry, not sorry.
That's just evil.
I still love that Fabrizio does this. Janice, did you see Blaine's armature? Yes. Your armature. I don't know what an armature is. It just sounds fun.
It's one of those things you probably don't need to know.
Okay.
You won't be interested.
Dustin Ramsey. Hi, Dustin. I love that these names, these guys, I don't recognize your names, so this is awesome. Super excited to see the new setup. Looking for as much information as possible. Yeah,
we are, and I've said this before, we are in a fairly early stage here. We have done a very coarse system line diagram. But there is, like, even that is not guaranteed in any way. There's changes that are going to be happening, massive changes over the next little while. As soon as we start getting a parts list that we're going to be running with, we'll get it out to you guys. But right now, we just kind of roughly know it's looking like the battery bank is getting possibly a little bit bigger than what we had originally anticipated. We could be sitting up around the 350 kilowatt hours for that. Motors are going to be around the 100 kilowatt motors, which will probably end up being bigger than that as well. Although going with the smaller motor would help for efficiency. Generators, we're still on the fence for AC/DC. Yeah, there's just so many things that are in flux.
But we know they're going to be called Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yes, I think that's pretty much guaranteed. But yeah, that's all going to be coming as soon as we figure out exactly what's going to be happening there.
Yeah. David wants to know about our stabilizers, Blaine. You might have missed it, but if you haven't spoken about it yet, can you discuss your plans for stabilizers?
So we have a pair of Vosper Thornycroft stabilizers on board. I don't know when they went in the boat. They're a fairly old system, but they've all been rebuilt as far as the mechanical portions of them. The stabilizers.
We did that 4 years ago in the yard.
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't been used since then. So the rams are freshly rebuilt. I've got brand new hoses for everything. I had picked up a pump to run them off of that I was going to put onto our new engines that we had in here. Well, no, that's the steering pump.
Disregard.
Yeah, I had one that was going to be going onto the PTO of our transmissions with our Cummins engines. But that was right when everything was starting to happen with OSEA and things were looking like we were going that way. So I just didn't, because it would have been an enormous waste of time to get all that stuff put together. So now what I'm going to have to do is, obviously we're not going to have any way to drive this our hydraulic system mechanically off of any of our engines, because it's going to have to work all the time. So we're looking at doing an electric motor to drive the hydraulic pump, which is not awesome. I'd much prefer to do electric stabilizers, but like bow thrusters and everything, that's just not in the budget. We can make these work. I still have to do a control system for them, and I've got some ideas for that. Some people have expressed interest in doing some programming for that. So if you guys want to help with that, fantastic.
If anybody knows a company that does stabilizers that would like to support this project,
there you go. But yeah, it's I do have something that will work planned based on some fairly inexpensive components, but it's probably not going to work as well as something that's programmed to run the solenoids.
Now, Chuck Summer wants to know, what are the plans for your hybrid dinghy? 48 volt, 100 amp hour golf cart, LifePo, Honda 2 kilowatt inverter generator, and 5 large trolling motors.
Hey, you know I've thought about it. I was thinking less hybrid and more just pure electric, because we will have such a massive capacity on board. I could set up some sort of a charge station on the back of the boat to plug it in whenever we pull into the boat. And I'm sure I could have enough battery in there to get all the range that we need for what we have to do.
So let me explain how Blaine works. He researches stuff before he goes to bed. When he's asleep, you know how your mind categorizes everything and makes the connections and stuff while you're sleeping? Then he wakes up and goes, Janice, what if we do this?
Yeah.
And this is every morning over coffee and tea. Why don't we try this? And then he's back to Googling. And I'm
Janice is being generous here, because typically when something like that pops into my head, I don't sleep. I am up all night and all this stuff is flying around in my head trying to figure out how to make things happen.
And I know some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about, that you're person or you do it yourself.
Yeah. It definitely keeps me awake some nights when my mind starts going.
Yeah, and Tillman and Bonita like that idea. An electric inboard jet drive for the dinghy is an interesting thought.
Yep, and that was exactly what I was thinking. And I'd have to make it a dual jet because it is a catamaran tender, so I'd have to have one on each side to make it perfectly functional.
Yes. Did both Cummins engines turn in one direction? And if so, how did you deal with the torque?
Both of them turned in the same direction. However, the propeller shafts did not. The transmissions handles the reversing of the one shaft. So basically, you run one transmission in reverse, and that counter rotates the propellers. As far as the torque, the boat doesn't feel that. It's like the engines don't rev high enough to make the boat do anything weird. It just, like I said, it doesn't even feel it. The boat is at the size where even when we're in the water and somebody steps onto the swim platform in the back of the boat, it doesn't move. It's pretty stable in that regard. So yeah, it doesn't feel it.
Tillman and Bonita, when will the used parts URL be? Yes.
We're going to have.
We've been a bit overwhelmed.
Parts.
Yes, I am going to actually put it onto our webpage, and there'll be a link there of used parts, and we can ship and figure it out of stuff we're selling. It's also going to probably be on Facebook Marketplace in Richmond, though I don't know how active this Facebook Marketplace is here in Richmond, British Columbia.
I don't know.
But a lot of it's going to be on eBay.
Yeah, and it's like we're still kind of toying around with exactly what the batteries are going to look like when we're done with this.
We're not really selling anything really fast because we just don't know.
No, I've been tempted to get rid of the 24 volt on the boat. Don't get me wrong, it's a great system. I like having the 24 volt for certain things, but there's just going to be so little running on it, and I have to have 12 volt because a lot of the electronics won't run on anything but 12 volt. So I want to put a battery bank in for the windlass, because right now that windlass, it's supposed to be 32 volt, and we've been running it for years on 24, and it works great for that. It still has lots of torque, but it's slow.
You made it faster for a little bit in Alaska.
Yeah, I did.
We blew that apart.
I did play around with using a power supply rather than a battery for it, and other than a slow startup, it was much faster, and it worked great for that. So I am debating doing a specialized 30-something volt battery bank for the windlass, and I don't really want to have tons of extra battery banks. So if I'm going to add the 30-something volt one, I would prefer to just get rid of the 24 volt one altogether, and just run a 12 volt. Anything that I need on the boat can be run on 12 volt, just bigger wires.
If you guys notice, we like to try and simplify everything on the boat. This is why we've taken all the paint off.
I don't think they're realizing that. We're about to do it.
But you know what I mean? We're trying to make everything simple so
Yes.
we can actually explore, go out and do stuff
Yes.
versus maintain a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the whole reason we took all the paint off, because I don't have to do paint now.
Yeah. So
Right?
anyway, we'll probably end up with a 12 volt small battery bank. Probably the same company that does our main bank for the propulsion. I'll see what they offer, and I know they make them in smaller packs. They use them for forklifts and stuff like that, and they can probably do something in a 30-something volt, as well as a 12 volt bank.
So you're running with wrenches? They must have a kid also, just like Izzy. Now you're going to need to soundproof Izzy's gaming room, because she'll be louder than the drives.
Oh yeah, absolutely, she will.
We're moving her back into the bow. We just got to fix the leaks.
Yeah.
Yes, watch Talent Running. Yes, we are going to watch it. That's our goal for this week. To pronounce, I can't roll R's. Ororu.
Ororu.
Ororu. And there are kangaroos around here. Ororu?
Ororu.
Oh.
Something like that. What do we got?
Michael, 70-foot motor yacht. The required torque to achieve efficient, roughly 7-8 knots with electric propulsion is estimated to be approximately 300 foot-pounds, around 400 Nm.
Newton meters.
Thank you. Newton meters or more at the propeller shaft.
Yeah. And I think that's about what I calculated out based on my fuel burn on the Cummins. That's what my steady state running torque was on it. Well, at the shaft anyway. So I mean, the engine was a third of that because it's a 3-to-1 drive. But yes, that's about what I calculated as well. And I'm just adding extra just for emergency. If we had something, because I did notice that, when we do a hard turn with the boat, the load would go up on everything, things like that. I just don't know how much torque we're going to need ultimately for like hull speed and everything there, and how much extra we want to have overhead just to make sure that the props never stop.
And we're building this like a commercial system, is what I say, right? So
we don't need a ton of kilowatt. We just need the torque, and this is where a lot of the diesel guys that said torque is the most important thing, and I always said yes, except for the fact that you've got a transmission that does that for you. We don't have that anymore. We're doing direct drive, so we have to have every available bit of torque has got to be supplied by the e-motor. So yeah, that's high on the list that we size that 100% appropriately.
Now, Connie, his wife and his have been forced to retire due to auto accident. I'm so sorry. And trying to decide on boat size for permanent live aboard with 2 large dogs, Great Danes, and a Cane Corso, and 2 cats. Like suggestions. It's all going to be where you are.
I would say for something like that, I mean, a 40-foot boat for two
No, but-
people, 45-foot
Well, yeah,
boat?
it's also going to be financial, right? Because the bigger the boat, the more you're going to pay at dock. Also, if you
Well,
live at
it
a
is.
dock, because we lived on mooring, like there's just so many questions for that we can't answer.
I mean, I would say starting probably in the 40 plus range. I'm sure you could fit on boats in the 30s, but King Corsos are not small dogs.
No, and also, where are you going to find a place to dock and live aboard at a dock?
Mhm.
It's very difficult. I know here in Canada, most of
Yes.
the marinas are getting rid of liveaboards.
It's like
We're
that
not going to get into
everywhere.
that, but looking at Florida and California and stuff, it's happening all everywhere.
Yeah, it's getting harder
Yeah.
and harder.
It is. We lived on a mooring for 5 years, but we chose to do that. So I wish we could answer you more. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to you guys to go tour a lot of boats and what's in your price range.
Mhm.
Nazalino, I can't. Sorry, Naz. We'll call you Naz. Expecting for the cruising speed and range after changing to hybrid. What's our expectations?
Is be the exact same. We are speccing the boat to not compromise on anything there. So we will still have our hull speed of 13 knots. We will still have our cruise speed of 9 knots, and we'll have our fast cruise speed of 11 to 12 knots. None of that will change. We will still be able to run indefinitely on our fuel. We won't be depending on the battery banks if we're doing a long trip and we need to go fast. We will be able to supply that power with the generator. So it's, like I said, there will be no compromises here. Everything will perform as it did before.
Now, Reed has a great question. How much demand is the company experiencing for the system? Do they have consultants that will go out to customers' project to review all changes required? I realize deposit fee required. OSEA is a brand new company. We are going to be the proving ground for them that this system can happen.
We should back up a little bit.
Brent Perry is not new in this.
Yeah.
Okay, he has ran many companies.
Yeah.
But he wants to bring his commercial hybrid builds, which he has probably been involved in a high percentage of all commercial builds in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, like he is just about to put one in
We're
Australia
talking
and
like
Perth.
80 to 90% of the hybrid commercial builds in the world.
He's been involved in some
involved
capacity,
some way.
right? With freighters. Anyways, he worked with Grand Banks. He's got a ton of experience. He now wants to bring what he knows from the commercial side into our size of boats with Tangaroa as a proving ground.
Yeah.
OSEA Boats is the company, OSEA, like OC Boats. They're going to be the better ones to ask that. Right now, Brent is personally involved in some of the builds. I know there is another boat coming in next to us.
I think he's personally involved in everything
Yeah.
in the builds. He is a very hands-on gentleman, but he does have other people working with him in this. He's got marine engineer or naval architects that he works with pretty closely. I know he's got a company that does a lot of his engineering stuff that he works with very closely. So it's not just Brent. There are others there, but I'm not sure how that all works with.
So Reed, we will save that. I actually throw that question and pass it on to OSEA
a good
Boats for them to answer it on their Instagram page, which is OSEA-boats, like dot dash. But great question. I stand with Izzy on screaming at video games as part of the experience. Okay, Sean. How old are you, Sean?
Come on.
Actually,
I've occasionally
you yell at
had
video
words.
games too.
I don't yell. I have harsh words with video
Really?
games occasionally. Yes.
Fabrizio sent us a super sticker. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Fabrizio.
Fabrizio.
You guys are just amazing. I'm going back up. Gyro stabilization, Blaine.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it. It's amazing technology. It is silly expensive. And that, once again, is not in the budget for this build currently. Maybe something in the future, but no, we've bit off enough for us to chew with this. We don't need any more currently.
Nope. But it is a never-ending sea trial.
It is, yep.
Spaced Man Spiff says, there is a NEMEA. How do you say that? It's not NEMEA.
NEMA CAN bus library.
There is a NEMA
Yes.
CAN bus. I keep saying NEMEA.
And that would be great if I really knew how to use libraries in programming. I don't even have that capability.
You guys are giving us such great ideas. River Randy says e-propulsion X Series outboard would be a fantastic on your dinghy.
Yep. Funny enough, e-propulsion is one of the companies that we're going to be visiting. We are going to be going to their factory. So stay tuned for that.
Where is it?
They are on the list. I think the company is out of Denmark or something like that, but I'm pretty sure their factory is in China. And we're stopping there as well when we're over in that side.
Maggie just came down.
She did.
This is the first time down in the engine room in like weeks. Maggie, come here.
Oh, grumble, grumble, grumble.
I know.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
See, Maggie's down for a visit. None of these. I can't imagine Janice as a cop. She's so silly and lighthearted. So I've 20 years as a police officer. I'm going to retire this year. I am very proud of the fact that I came out not bitter and jaded, and I still have faith in humanity. That was my whole goal going in. The big thing is I didn't hang out with other cops. And that's what it's true. So I didn't tell war stories all the time, right? I did come out diagnosed with PTSD. But I loved being a police officer. Best job ever. And seriously, when I worked undercover, like surveillance stuff, I was the best soccer mom. They would always put me in a minivan driving around following people. No one had a clue that I was following them around in a minivan, just like a soccer mom. It was fun.
True story.
No, I love being a police officer. It was amazing. But yeah, my whole goal was to come out of policing and not be bitter.
Good joining, Meg.
Driving him nuts. Blue in hell.
Oh, it's a lost cause. It really is. Well,
I'm close. Ororu.
There you go. Yeah. Except there's two R's, so you have to roll. See?
I can't roll my R's. Oh
no! Just don't. Just don't. Spare us.
How come we don't see much of your son in our videos? Okay, so I'm going to tell the story to the kids.
Okay.
We actually started our first YouTube channel, I think 5 years ago, just as a lark. And the kids were in it, right? But then after about 6-7 months, we gave a choice because they were starting to get a bit grumpy. And we're like, okay, wait. Like, we haven't given you guys a choice on whether to be in videos. And so we asked both of them whether they want to be in videos. Because at that time, Josh actually lived on board. And both of them said no. And you have to respect that. With kids. And I think at the time they were, Izzy was in middle school. So 12 and 16. So we had to respect that. And we gave them both the choice. They both said no. Anyways, I think kids should always be given a choice whether they should be on YouTube or not. That's just my belief system. Our belief system, sorry. And it is on our website. When they say about us, we do have our son, Josh, who is 20. How old is that kid? 23? 23. He is applying, and he will find out this month if he gets into nursing school. We're keeping our fingers crossed on that. But he lives in Victoria and is going to go to school. Izzy's with us. You will see snatches of her, but she is usually behind the camera. So she has taken over the videography. They tell us when they want to be on videos and when they don't. So That's why you don't see them. You will see the occasional picture. Yeah, with Izzy and I'm 62. What is with all you guys yelling at video games? Seriously.
It can be frustrating at times.
Yeah, it reminds me, will you film these factory tours?
Yes.
Izzy is going with Blaine. Tomorrow we're going to go buy her some appropriate clothes for China. Yes. Midriffs covered.
I don't know if typical Izzy clothing is super.
I know, but if my midriff was like that, I would show it off too.
There you go.
So.
It is.
Whatever. The Chevy Volt dinghy project. Okay, guys. We have to get through this project first before we get into dinghies.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Gave me nightmares. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning going, I got it. And I'll say it properly.
No, you won't.
Oh, yeah. Charles Hopkins. He has a new name too. Don't be put off by programming of and use of libraries and doing the coding yourself. Most of that stuff is open sourced and querying for help is easy. Don't get frustrated.
Yeah, I do have an Arduino on board. I have toyed with it. It takes a lot of time to learn it, and time is something that I'm not exactly super abundant have right now.
Empire Aerial, I too spent over 20 years wearing uniform. Thank you very much for your service and badge. Unfortunately, I came out at the end very jaded. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough after that many years as a police officer not to come out jaded. I get jaded about some things, or I kind of see something and I'm like, well, yeah, it's hard. I'm not even going to give any examples.
It's just the dark humor with you.
The dark humor is bad, and you'll see it in the videos because I'm always like, oh, there's going to be a dead body in that one. If you actually watch our other channel with the Exploring the World channel, and when we go to places, I am always of high expectation. I'm going to find a dead body.
Yeah, because we're like opening like old abandoned refrigerators and stuff that are at some of these sites, and just like there's gonna be a dead body in there.
Yeah, it's just because that scene I've been in so many times as a crime scene or as a scene where it's like I'm a bit jaded about going in. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna find something really bad here.
Yeah.
Anyways,
moving on.
Yeah, there's just some things. My dad was also a police officer for many, well, for 30 years, I think, in Ontario. I used to do monitoring using a product called OpenNMS, and there are CAN bus interfaces for even that if you wanted to go that route. I think you and Charles need to chat.
Well, the CAN bus is certainly where I wanted to go with the stabilizers, because with the NEMA 2000, my satellite compass has roll and pitch data that it's always transmitting, and it's actually pretty fast as well, and it's super accurate. So to be able to pull that in to use for the stabilizers would be really, really nice. But yeah, I've got some learning to do before I'll be able to master that.
See, Paul says you call it Project GFCI.
Ground fault circuit interrupter.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yep.
Rob wants to know if you decide about laser and dry ice blasting.
Not gonna.
Well, let's go back a little bit. I kind of feel a little bit bad that we put that video up. But not really. We did tell the guy that we're going to YouTube.
I don't feel bad at all.
He got blasted online.
He did.
He didn't have the proper glasses on or the respirator.
And he is very...
So he phoned Blaine.
Yeah, not angry or anything.
No.
He was actually super excited
wants to work
about
with us.
Working with us, and he wanted to get back into commenting on, how they do things and whatnot. We decided that we're not going to do the dry ice or the laser in the engine room. It has lasted for 50 plus years the way it is. We're just going to redo it with better insulation and go another however many years. So it won't be for that. However, he has offered services on smaller things. So if they're...
Whatever. He showed that his ice blaster can get paint off a boat.
Yep.
I still have paint left on this boat.
We do. So we might end up doing some stuff with them.
They're just so nice, yet. Laser Sharks.
He is super nice.
Yeah.
And he's reached out several times since then. So maybe not.
They're just a great company. Connie wants to know, while traveling out of country, have you had any problems with customs or Coast Guard inspections?
No, we've never had any, really.
What do you mean? Well, we had...
The only inspection we ever had was when we bought the boat and brought it back down from Wrangell.
So customs was extremely easy going up because I think it was government lockdown. And we just went onto the app and we went, and they're like, come on into the States.
The government shut down.
Okay. I think it was during government shutdown.
Yeah.
When we crossed the border into Alaska in September.
Yeah.
October.
But
we got stopped once up there, but it wasn't by customs or Coast Guard. But we got stopped by the RCMP.
DFO.
So our DFO, the Department of Fisheries, was riding with RCMP. We were driving along, heading towards Ethelda Bay. So we were quite northern British Columbia, way the heck out of nowhere. Like we weren't even close. Like we were I think the closest town was Hartley Bay.
Nothing close, yeah.
And we were driving along, and suddenly Blaine's driving. We have no rear vision behind us when we're driving.
In the pilot house, it's a wall.
And this boat came blasting up. It was about how big is that boat? 60 foot? 50 foot?
Probably 50, 60 feet. It's one of the big RCMP catamarans.
Came blasting up right next to us on our starboard side.
No AIS
or anything.
Good. Never even knew he was coming.
And it was bright clear out, so we didn't have our radar running. Scared the bejesus out of us.
Yeah, so I pulled the throttles back.
And he was close. He was close, so he came blasting up our starboard side. We saw him, went, whoa! So we shut down. And then they went over, and we were watching them. They launched their dinghy, and they came over to the boat. Yep. And there was a fisheries officer and the RCMP officer, so nice. Mm-hmm. They asked us questions. They wanted to see the boat registration, which we gave them. Asked us if we were fishing.
Yep.
Asked us of our fishing license, yes. And then they were asking about how much we had on board and stuff like that. And I said, well, our boat is declared an ordinary residence. And the fisheries officer looked at me very confused. In Canada or in British Columbia, you don't have to abide by the limits that you can carry once you are at your ordinary residence.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, obviously, if you're fishing all season long and you're filling your freezer at home, that's acceptable.
Right? You can carry as much as you want, as long as you're within your annual limits.
Yep.
Before we had left Victoria, I had contacted the Department of Fisheries, and this gentleman's boss had written me an email saying, with the evidence that you have provided, yes, Tangaroa is considered your ordinary residence. And I had this in email. The poor fisheries officer, he didn't know what I was talking about because he had never seen anybody do that before on a boat.
Yep.
So I printed out the email and I gave it to him. And as soon as I did that, and he knew the name, that was his boss, as soon as we gave him the email, he couldn't come on board unless he had a warrant or exigent circumstances.
Now, we weren't trying to hide anything.
No.
Like if he had asked to come on board, we would have let him come on board. We're not trying to get away with anything, but they didn't even bother. They're just like, all right, well, thank you very much, and you guys have a great.
No, and the RCMP officer definitely would not come on board if we're declared ordinary residents, because then that's kind of the same thing as your principal residence in law, right? Like you need a pretty strict warrant here signed by a judge, unless you have exigent circumstances, to come on board our boat, because it is considered our primary residence. However, Coast Guard can come on board, and so can immigration and customs officials when we're crossing a border.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Coast Guard can do an inspection anytime.
That's why I said Coast Guard can come on anytime because they're looking for safety stuff. But no, we have not had Coast Guard come on board.
Yeah. Short answer is we haven't had any issues with customs or immigration.
No.
Only time customs came on board is when we originally bought Tangaroa and we're bringing her down from Wrangell, Alaska, and they just wanted to make sure that it made sense to declare value of the boat.
Yeah. Rick was a cop too for 3 years. None of these. I like these conversations you guys are having towards each other, by the way. We do see them, and it's really cool how supportive you are to each other. Phil's Projects is here from Montreal. Charles says, willing to help if you want assistance. I got to retire early and I'm bored. He's a programmer.
There we go. Oh, there we go.
Remember, he's the one that told you all about the...
Oh, is that? Okay, I don't have my glasses
and
on.
Nima?
2000.
What is the range of RPM do you run the props motors for different speeds, and what do you expect the absolute top speed to be with this conversion, and when will you expect to test that?
So our range of RPM on shaft is, I think, basically 1,000 RPM. 1,000 RPM would be beyond hull speed even. So we don't spin them fast. They don't have to be. I mean, go fast boats will typically spin them faster. We're pretty slow turning shafts, and I think our typical cruise RPM, it's 500 RPM shaft speed and prop speed, so pretty slow. I mean, you can just watch them spin. So yeah, pretty slow. As far as what our top speed will be, it should be roughly around 13 to 14 knots. 13 is kind of our hull speed. If we push it really hard and burn a lot of fuel, we might be able to hit 14, but probably not. And we're going to be testing that as soon as we go back in the water. That'll be on the sea trial. We will be pushing everything right out to its maximums. So sometime around
and
May,
you will
June.
See it all.
Yep. It will be on film.
Yeah. Rick, I go back to this one. You should have showed him your creds. I only accidentally show my creds when I get stopped for speeding.
Accidentally. Oh, my wallet fell open to my badge. Yeah. Accidentally.
I don't get no. We actually, sorry, let's go back. In Canada, you can't flash your badge in order to get
preferential
treatment. You just don't do it. It's against everything that we believe in, and also the fact that if you do, you can actually get charged under the Police Act. Yeah, don't do it. Hey JB, thanks for getting my sense of humor. My daughters can learn from you.
No problem.
And guys, we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon here. None of these. Do you guys watch any other YouTube sailing channels? I found a channel named In Too Deep, young man who bought a 70-foot motor yacht. He seems to be a much younger version of Blaine.
Yep.
I don't think he's as crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like if you've watched the early videos of Gus and In Too Deep, we actually do have a fairly similar background. I think he had a performance shop as well. I don't know his background from before that. I just remember that little brief blip that he had mentioned in his one video. But yeah, he's doing a lot of cool stuff on the boat. I give him lots of credit for that. His channel is done amazingly well. So obviously he's doing something right, and people absolutely love it.
Yeah, we should reach out to him. I really like him.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, Blaine, that was all the questions. Thank you guys so much. We're not going to sign off yet. What's the plan? Actually, show the engine room again for the people who are just hopping on.
Yep.
Because we removed everything today. So the people who just hopped on, look at this.
This is the emptiness. So there are no engines. That's where the engines were. You can see it. That's my fuel manifold back on the wall there. Down here, the generator is gone. We are literally sitting on the engine room exhaust fans that were back in the corner, where the generator used to be. So
washer and dryer is gone.
Washer and dryer, which is where the computer is sitting here. So yeah, we're pretty much all stripped down in the engine room, ready for the next step.
So the plan for this week is, Blaine.
The big thing is probably going to be. I know, I'm trying. The big thing is going to be getting the engine room, the rest of the way cleared out. There's still a few things I have to get out of the way. I've got the water wall over here with all the water maker stuff. Behind me there, I've got the breaker panels. Those are all going to get rebuilt. I've said this before, but I've got my buddy Brian coming in. He works for BC Ferries. He does a lot of control systems, builds a lot of DIN rail panels. So it's going to be proper DIN rail industrial style panels.
All this
commercial
yellow
style.
Insulations come out.
All
and don't worry, we're going to wear respirators.
Yeah, lots of respirators for that.
Hydronic heater has to be moved.
Yep, the tank for the hydraulic system's got to go. My fuel manifold in the back is all got to come off, and then all of the supports for the flooring are going to come out. So it's basically just going to be a completely bare engine room. And once we're at that point, it's going to be cleaning, scrubbing the walls, getting all the loose stuff knocked off so we can get insulation glued back up again, get paint on walls. Maybe depending on how wall panels are, we might be doing some replacements on some of those. But yeah, there's lots of stuff that needs to happen over the next couple of months while we're waiting on parts to show up.
Yep, Burnett's being funny. He's like, what's the crane going to do tomorrow if the engine's already gone? He's the one who came today early.
Yeah.
So we have lots to do. We have lots of footage. Can't wait to show you the footage of the cranes or of everything that happened today because it was crazy.
It went.
Yeah, it was crazy. So thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you to everybody with the super chats and stuff. We are definitely going to take you up with that $50, and I think we're going to order pizza because I'm absolutely exhausted.
I could use a pizza.
But again, we are truly honored and blessed and amazed at you guys.
Thanks so much for everything. I mean, the people that are offering to come and help, thank you. The people in the super thanks, thank you so much.
The ideas, like we talked about, Liam, PB Schultz, like Rick H, Eric Dunn, like great ideas.
And just all the kind comments and support. We love it.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We will see you on Wednesday.
Bye, guys.